Birthing Purpose with Lana. Today, I got my cousin here all the way from New York to talk about a growing trend with a lot of people, and that's cutting family ties. And this is the holidays, and this is a time where people need to come together. But there's a lot of people that have cut their families off. So I wanted to bring my cousin in, Ricky, the cut creator, Burton, to talk about this because I think we got some ties we've cut in our
Yeah, definitely.
on the mother side, the father side. Sometimes cuts happen organically. You don't even, it's just like, what happened? Like, you don't even know.
Yeah, family can outgrow each other as well, you know. So people think that just because you're family, you can't outgrow each other. That's not true. That's not true, you know. And people don't really look too deeply into it as they should because, like, just because we have the same DNA or whatever doesn't mean we're gonna get along, doesn't mean we're gonna like each other, you know. And I think it's society that puts it on people that you have to get along with your family, and that's your family, and you have to do this. But you know, we're gonna call a spade a spade. If your family member is a creep, they're a creep. You know, there's nothing you can do about that. You know, and if you choose to disassociate yourself from that, especially if they're adult, a grown adult, yeah, definitely, you have all right to do so.
Yeah. Ideally, though, we want to get along. I'm going to tap into all the reasons why, because I think ultimately we should get along with everybody. Family, not family, you know, just because we don't agree on everything, there still should be a pleasant exchange, a pleasant relationship.
And look, and that's to me what makes it even worse because when you have that one family member that nobody gets along with or majority of the family don't get along with, that means something is wrong because human nature is love.
Right. We're here for love and relationships. Yeah, and help one.
Yeah. Yeah, human nature is not hate. You're not born hating. You learn that. You're born loving though. You know, that's something you feel from an early age, from the time you are pushed out into this world. You feel love. You don't feel hate. That's something you learn about. You understand? To me, that means there's a real problem.
Let's go over some statistics.
Let's go.
Estrangement statistics. It says that approximately 27% of Americans are currently estranged from at least one family member, which is equivalent to tens of millions of people. Okay. A YouGov poll found that 38% of American adults reported being estranged from a close relative. So in this 38%, 24% is a sibling, 16% is a parent, and 10% is a child. In 2023, study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family, researchers found that 6% of adult children reported an estrangement from their mother, while 26% reported an estrangement from their father. Research also shows that adult children are more likely to initiate this estrangement. Now, here are some common reasons. Physical, emotional, or sexual abuse is 30% of the reason why people are estranged from their parents.
Okay.
Another 34% estranged from their parents because the parent has manipulative behavior.
Okay.
Then it says 31% of those estranged from a parent is because lies or betrayal. And then the remaining is because of conflicting values or lifestyle differences. So it also says estrangements are not always permanent. The majority of estranged adult children, it says 81% of them from the mother and 69% from the father reported reconciling at some point. So the estrangement is not forever.
Parents and children. Okay.
And then 68% of estranged individuals feel that this situation carries a social stigma. So there's a stigma behind estrangement. If people know that you don't talk to your mom and you don't talk to your sister, your brother, they're like, what? Like, it's kind of like
taboo.
Yeah, they frown upon it. Like, what's up with y'all? Why y'all can't get it together? Well, so when you hear these statistics, what do you think? What comes to mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, I would ask myself how many of those, uh, as far as like with the parent and the child, how many of those children are like teenagers,
Mm,
adolescents, and how many are like adults? Because that matters to me as well. But uh, when it comes to situations like that, which I've seen, I believe once the child is an adult
yeah.
and they don't want to adhere anymore to the household rules, well, that means it's time to go. It's time to go. And I don't think a parent should feel bad about that. You did your best. They're an adult now. And if they feel grown enough
Mm,
to want to disrespect you by not listening or talking back recklessly or, being extremely disrespectful, then yeah, it's time for that child to go, definitely. Definitely. And I don't think the parent should feel any type of way about that. I think the stigma that you just spoke about makes people feel a type of way. Like, oh, people are going to look at me funny. People are going to feel like a parent and a child are not supposed to be going through these type of problems. But those ways of thinking are not realistic,
now,
especially according to the polls you just
right.
read.
But I feel there's a deeper issue because why can't we get along? What are we lacking communication skills? Is there pride there? Is there unforgiveness? Are you a narcissist? Like, there's so many things I think could come into place as to why people just cannot get along. Like, why would you walk away? Do we not want to do therapy? Why is the relationship not worth it?
Well, I wouldn't think for some, like I'll speak on a friend of mine, the situation with them. I don't think it's about not fixing it. In their situation, his child is the one that's like keeping it going and not wanting to talk and things like that. So, as a parent, you're going to keep reaching out. You're going to keep reaching out because, you're the adult or the elder in the situation, right? But after a while, like, how
Right,
much are you going to tell me to kick rocks or kiss your butt? I mean, you
right,
understand what I'm saying?
right,
Before I tell myself, like, okay, I'm dealing with another adult. I gotta, let them do that.
right. So I remember being in a situation where a family member stopped talking to me because I got married, and I didn't get married.
Okay,
They wanted me to get married too, so they stopped talking to me. What the?
which is odd to me, but go ahead.
I'm like, really? That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's narcissistic
Yeah.
because what does it matter to them?
They just they were anti-marriage anyway. They didn't really understand
Okay,
why people needed to even be married. They felt they looked at marriage as negative and they don't see any good marriages and oh, why would you want to get yourself in that?
right,
And I don't like who you're picking. But at the end of the day, if we have a relationship and you love me, then it shouldn't matter.
right, right,
That just
right,
says a lot about how close I thought we were. We weren't really that close.
right,
Well, it was conditional.
right. If it could just be let go just like that.
Yes, yes, crazy.
Yeah.
So it says here, before you end a relationship with someone, there are some questions that you need to ask yourself before you say, I'm just going to cut this off with whomever. And the first one is, am I the problem? Have I taken full ownership of my contribution to this family dynamic, even if my contribution was significantly smaller than the other person's? What part did I play in this?
Yeah, yeah. I think any logical person, especially when love is involved, would definitely want to ask themselves that, or would definitely ask themselves that before they go on to say, it's your fault, you did this or you did that. So I would think any logical person would ask themselves first, like, let me see if I did anything. Let me see what did I do to trigger them or whatever the case may be. And then once you get through that, then you move forward from there.
Yeah, and you can't make people forgive you, but as long as you know you own it and say, hey, I messed up, I apologize, will you forgive me? You've done your part. You can't make anybody forgive you.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Not at all. Especially once again, if you're dealing with an adult. That makes the situation even that much more sticky because the adult, society taught us once you become an adult, you can do what you want, right? So once you're dealing with another adult, I don't believe in forcing the issue,
Right.
you know? Yeah, it's too much good life to be lived out here to do that.
Right. And the next question is, have I sought neutral, objective feedback from a trusted person, therapist or counselor who can challenge my viewpoint rather than just seeking validation from friends? Because, you know, your friends be like, yeah, you know, we ride or die. You don't like them, I don't like them, you know? And it's like, okay, that somebody who's like neutral to kind of be that mediator.
Right, right. Or like grandma always used to say, if you're gonna want advice on your marriage or your union, you need to go get that from another long lasting married couple because they're going to give you everything, the ups, the downs, the left, the right. But I don't know too many people who in situations like that seek out a therapist or a counselor, like a neutral. They're usually typically going to go to a friend that they feel they can confide in or that they always confide in.
But yeah, but you know what? A lot of people have therapists. In this day and age now, people are starting to really embrace, mental health therapy. So you can run it past your
You're
therapist.
right.
And to your point, though, when you're seeking out somebody with a long relationship, make sure that it's quality because there's a lot of people in some long-term relationships and it's been a hot mess. Many
Yes.
years.
Yes.
I don't care how long. We've been married 50 years. It's been a hot mess for 45 of them. Yeah. So I'm like quality over quantity, period.
Yes. I agree.
Another question you can ask yourself, when I look at past conflicts, do I see a pattern where every single person eventually lets me down, leading to repeated estrangement? Like, am I reacting to past trauma and projecting it onto a current situation that might be repairable? So is that I'm always falling out with everybody and I'm just cutting everybody off. That's just what you do. You're the cut master. You're the cut creator.
right. I get what you're
Everybody,
saying.
like, come on. You don't want to repair anything. It's just all about cutting because there's nobody perfect. Everybody gonna have something. Is that your answer? You're just gonna go through life just cut, burning bridges everywhere.
Yeah, and for the person who maneuvers like that through situations, typically, from my experience, they're the problem because if you have one relationship where y'all argue and y'all break up, and then the next relationship, let's say somebody cheated and y'all break up, and the next one was mental abuse and y'all break up, there's no pattern in that, right? But now, if every relationship y'all argue, you start the argument, then y'all break up. You get a new one, you start the argument, then y'all break up. There's a pattern there. Now, you need to really sit back and ask yourself, am I the problem? So that's a valid question too. But a lot of people don't ask themselves that.
Why not?
Pride, like you said in the beginning, the pride, like is gonna be almost like F that. I don't care, like F that. Even if they're wrong, even family members, they need to be talked to. And then if they can't be talked to, they have to be given their pink slip.
Yeah, right. So now they talk about, have I genuinely attempted to use I statements and set healthy boundaries, or have I immediately defaulted to a fight or flight response when the conflict arises? So as far as talking about I statements, like I feel like this versus blaming you, like I feel hurt when you do this. This makes me feel a certain way versus you're a terrible person. Just what you're doing makes me feel this way. Like, people don't know how to communicate. You don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want you to know that you got to me, or you hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't let you, so you want to be tough and you don't want to admit that. So you're just like, forget it,
I think pride aside, that would be hard for a lot of men to do. So you see how you just worded that? I feel like this when you talk to me like that. Most guys ain't gonna say that because that's not a masculine thing to say. You understand? Like, it's not masculine to be vulnerable. It's not masculine to let your wall down and to let all your guard down. So society says, and so society has bred men to think and feel like,
That's right.
pride, and I'm gonna stand on it, even if I'm wrong. That's which is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what would you think would be the last straw? So what are the common red flags or the last straws that indicate that this relationship, the damage might be irreparable? Because I think a lot of the stuff that we see people fall out about is not that deep.
No, right? It's not.
That
It's
it's
not. It's definitely not.
it's these inner traumas, or it's not that deep. And a good heart to heart and some forgiveness could just solve a lot of this. But what would you say is like, no, it's not irreparable? Or do you think everything is repairable?
Well, I feel like with family, everything should be repairable, right? But I think like one of the main things for many people will be like if the same thing keeps happening. Like if the same thing keeps happening, okay, but that's like running into a wall and thinking you're gonna run through it every time you run into it and it knock your ass down every time. You understand? So like that's what's that called again? Insanity. That's called insanity. So when you keep doing the same thing expecting a different result, far do we let it go before we become insane? Before we let this person or this family member keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, right?
Yeah, and that's what it says. Is a person staying in this difficult relationship purely out of guilt or obligation, protecting others' feelings more than their own inner peace?
Oh, I know a lot of people. I'm not like that, but I know a lot of people like that. I'm not like that. Definitely not.
Yeah,
No, protecting my inner peace is me telling you how I feel right away as soon as I feel it.
yeah, yeah. So, what are some specific steps you think that people can kind of take to bridge this gap? Like the first thing. So let me ask you a question. Is there anybody in your life where you're like, cut, done?
Yeah.
Okay, you ain't got to say who. So is there any part of it you think could be you? Have you looked and analyzed that?
Yeah, no, none of it. Yeah, I did. I did. I
Okay.
did. I definitely.
People say that these broken relationships don't bother them, they don't care, but I think deep down inside, I think they bury the pain. I think people medicating a lot of pain with all their vices and their drugs and staying busy, whatever it is. But I think deep down inside, there is a little bit of bother because, like, it's not enough to maybe like, okay, I'm gonna cry every day. But I just think when these things happen, all the different traumas and things that happen in your life, and they all just compile, I think it does affect us as humans.
Yeah, then that's why I say maybe. But I also believe people like me, I've been through so much. I've been through a lot. You know what I mean? So I've been through so much that stuff like that is minuscule to me. So it's not anything I think about or let fester or bother me or anything like
Right,
that because I've endured way, way, way much more than that.
right.
So I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what I mean? I really, really don't. So maybe it's there deep down somewhere. I don't know. But like my everyday life, I'm fine. Sleep
Right,
fine. Wake up fine.
right.
Like perfectly fine. Like but for other people or a lot of people, I would say that you're right. I would say that you're
I,
right. I would say that it festers and they think about it and it dwells in their mind.
or it comes out in your behavior in other ways. Like maybe you don't have
Ooh,
relationships with other people because you have fear that you'll be hurt.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or it messes with your trust level
Right, right,
for people. Like, and you're like, okay, they did me wrong. I'm done with them cut. I'm done. But really, there's a residue because now you don't trust nobody else. So it is
right.
affecting you in a certain way.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
making you not want to communicate. It's making you be rash and hasty, So yeah, you're right. Right.
and easily irritated, triggered. Oh, I saw this before, or I'm not going to take nothing from nobody. Okay, but it's not fair to not have grace and mercy on everybody because this person did something wrong. So it comes out in other ways in your life, whether you know it or not.
And
You,
not only that, if you do that too long, that's almost like letting hate fester in your heart, right?
or
You
fear,
end up,
fear.
yeah, and then you end up being miserable,
Yeah.
miserable,
But
miserable, like a miserable adult.
how many people are happy, really, for real?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
How many people are genuinely happy out here?
That's a good question.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would love to hear the answer to that if we could ever find
I mean, for
it.
real happy, not that fake happy.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. I bet you the numbers would be lower than
I
50%
think
in the world,
I think it's extremely low.
especially in the US,
How?
because a lot of people here faking. So you have now social media, and you think
Yeah.
certain people are happy, and you think certain people are living a certain way, and they're not.
No.
Like I even had situations where I've trained Instagram models, right? Where on Instagram you would think they popping
Oh yeah.
everything
Yeah.
fine. Guys are flying them here and there, but in our sessions they're crying
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And telling me what they don't like about their body. But everybody on Instagram love their body. But they don't, they're not happy for real.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So like I think it's a lot of that as well. I don't think a lot of people are as happy as they're making it seem.
No, and I think it just stems from youth, from childhood too. A lot of stuff you'd be surprised that affects people in their childhood. But I don't know about just America because I have a lot of Indian friends, and when I tell you the culture, the abuse that they are enduring with parents, family members, because they have some high standards. You're gonna come to America, you're gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. The parents got their lives mapped out, and these people are miserable walking this path trying to please parents or the culture, So I don't know about it just being America because
Because I to piggyback on what you just said, I have a lot of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Jewish clients that I feel like their culture is like that.
yeah,
That their culture puts a lot of pressure on them. You got to be married by a certain age, and after the honeymoon, the baby better be coming a year later, and he better have a certain type of job, and stuff like that. And that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. Like, how what he wants for himself or what she
here.
wants for herself. You understand what I'm saying?
Mine, their friends, a lot of them cut their families, or the families cut them. Either one. Even
Yeah,
when you think about the Amish community, they had that reality show, Leaving Amish Country. I don't like the rules. I don't like how you guys look down on the other people who aren't Amish, and they're just breaking away from the culture, the religion, all these expectations. People
right.
cannot really fulfill their purpose. They got to fulfill somebody else's purpose and expectations, which is an absolute miserable life.
Yeah, because you're not actually living your life, you're living somebody else's,
Right, right.
which is not what we're naturally wanting to do as human beings. You naturally want to do what you want to do, what makes you feel good, not what somebody else wants you to do. Definitely not.
So, what are some healthy ways to navigate the grief that comes with this separation? For people who've tried everything, they analyze themselves, they try to get a mediator, they did everything, and it just won't work. What would you say to navigate that grief and deal with that grief and heal from all that pain?
I think you heal quicker and better when you just constantly pray for that person. Because now you know in your heart that you're doing your part, right? You're doing your part. You're not wishing them no harm. You wish them nothing but the best, the utmost. You wish God's hedge of protection stays around them, stuff like that. So you're doing your part. Your heart is pure and genuine in that situation. And I think that makes it much easier to let it go and move on, or to just not even let it go and move on, but to just deal with it, to go through it, to go through the situation, the storm.
And if it's a parent and you're in some type of abusive, emotionally, physically a relationship, and you're like an adult child, you can find other mother figures, other father figures. You got a brother and sister, it's just not working. You can create family.
Right,
Find your tribe.
right. Not gonna lie, I'm a firm believer that along your travels, right,
Yeah.
you're gonna meet people who's not blood family. That's gonna mean more to you than certain people in your blood family. And that's, to me, natural, because once again, if we come into this world loving, and that's the strongest feeling, emotion in the world, then you can't get in front of that. You can't stop that. You can't even stop it from happening. You understand what I'm saying? And also, I believe that when it happens like that, it's meant to be like that. That's how it's supposed to be.
You know, it's interesting. There's a story in the Bible where there were some people that said to Jesus, your mother and your brother are out here waiting for you. He was like, my mother and my brother, my family basically is whoever believes in God, whoever does the will of my father. That's my family. So he was saying it's not blood is thicker than water. He trumped all that. No, family is who follows my father, who believes in my father, who does the father's will. That's my mother and my brother. That's my family. So basically, I would translate it in whoever loves me, that's my family. Not
Right,
blood, not about DNA. It's about the love,
right,
the respect, the
right.
reciprocity.
Right. And also, if you're breaking it down to a more earthly level for people, is, to me, that breaks down to whoever holds the same morals, principles, and values that I hold. Period. Usually, whoever holds the same type of principles, morals, and values are going to click together, usually.
Good or
And
not.
then when you put it on a spiritual term,
Yeah.
take it back to everything you just said.
Right. Right. Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
because I'm typically not going to gravitate towards anybody whose values, principles, and morals differ from mine, even a little bit. I don't want no parts of that.
Hmm. Now, what about business relationships? What about people coming together who don't have the same morals, values, things like that? Well, we're going to get together and make this money.
That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. If you think it's gonna work, you're fooling yourself. Like, is it one thing about life and business? It's a boss for a reason, right? So we're not all just gonna come together and be willy-nilly. I'm the CEO here. These are my principles, morals, and values that we're going to uphold here. And if you don't uphold it, you out of here. Simple. That's it. So somebody has to set the precedent, right? And I like to be the one to set the precedents, because I don't want any nonsense, or I don't want anybody moving outside of the way you're supposed to move.
Right. Yeah.
When it comes to business, when it comes to naturally cut fitness,
And
naturally cut
those
experience.
relationships that form through business. Yeah.
Now, to go back to what you said initially, now, if it's a situation where like three guys come together, or two guys and a girl, or two girls and a guy, and say, we want to open up a coffee shop, right? If y'all don't have the same morals, principles, and values, do not do it.
I know
Do not do it.
with people because you got money and I got money. We could put our money and do this. But it's so much more than that to make any relationship work, whether it's business, family, friendship, whatever. You have to be on one accord. And I think in the key ways, because everybody's not going to be the same in every area, but the key, the what areas you definitely need to be on one accord, because
Right. Like for instance, if we all three of us disagree on how we should market, you can fix that. That's cool. We can work through that.
Yeah.
But if two of us are honest and one of us is a thief, we can't do that. We can't do that. It's not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? There's no way in God's green earth that could be salvaged or even made to work.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, it gets sticky in those type of situations, especially business situations. But I love and cherish business situations because business situations are situations that you can cut off tomorrow. It's over, done. And you could keep moving forward because it's business. And in business, like if you want to be successful, it's not personal. It's not personal. I've fired people and then went out with them 3 days later or the next weekend. You know, no love loss, no harm,
Just can't
no
do business.
foul. Right. You're just not a good fit for Naturally Cut Fitness. You're just not a good fit, you know?
We do that with family and friends. Why can't you find the common ground and dwell there?
I think because we're family,
It shouldn't be.
y'all been knowing each other so long that there's this comfortability there that makes a lot of people not want to admit to being wrong to the family member. And I don't know why, because a lot of people will quickly admit to the outsider or the person they don't really know.
Why is there more grace and mercy for outsiders than it is for family members? It
I don't
shouldn't.
understand. I don't understand.
Be that way.
I don't understand. And once again, the reason why I don't understand is because I'm not like that. The more grace and the mercy going to my family. Like if you're not my family, that's when you might have a hard time, you know, like, or if we're not like acquaintances or if I don't know you, then yeah, it's a problem. But other than that, the grace and the mercy should be for the family, but I don't know why it's the opposite. Just like in business, you'll have outsiders help you quicker than family. That's a fact.
Why?
That's a fact. You know that.
Yes. What is
You
that?
know that. You know, you'll hear all the praise and stuff while you building up and building up. And when everything gets built up, you don't really hear from them again. You'll have a whole sneaker shop and they'll be buying sneakers from somebody else's shop. You understand what I'm saying? Like if my family got a sneaker shop, I'm only shopping in that sneaker shop. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody's quick to help the person they don't know, or the person, I should say, that you really don't know. It's usually quickest to help, assist, give advice, you know.
There's some jealousy, basically. That's a big factor in a lot of these relationships that don't work. It's some jealousy there, huh?
Yeah.
But how comfortable are you saying to somebody, "Are you jealous of me?"
I had that situation already with family
You
recently.
gotta ask somebody.
Yeah, recently.
No way.
Yeah.
What did they say? Did they admit to it?
No, they basically cursed me out, but
No, wait a minute, because they say when you say these type of things, it needs to be said a way that's receivable to the other person. Did you say you
no,
got
I said, you act like you jealous of me or something. Let's take it over family real quick. Real quick. A lot of people don't understand the hate and the jealousy that I receive because people understand that they never got locked up and they've been out here their whole life and they haven't accomplished, right? And I did 10 years and I came home and accomplished more in 9 years than they accomplished their whole life. So now they're looking at me like, I don't even want to say like, it's not even like he think he all that. It's more like Like
It makes
this
them
MF,
get
this
the
MF up.
light.
Yes, yes, yes.
Your light shines the dark areas in them.
Right.
So in those situations, do you say, hey, let me help you get what I got? Or what do you want to do? I can help you accomplish your dreams, your goals. I win, you win. Let's win together. There's no need to be jealous. Did you try to do that with them?
I did all that. I still every now and then when I'm feeling good in a good mood would throw that out there. You know what I mean? I'm gonna leave well enough alone. The jealousy, and which is funny to me because it doesn't even have to be there.
But do you know, Aunt Gloria had said our grandmother dealt with that. She said a lot of times people are jealous of your resilience. And for grandma, she lost her husband when everybody was so little. And so she
Right,
raised all these kids by herself, became a teacher. I mean, she was just doing so good. Her married friends, this is what Aunt Gloria said, married friends would come and try to borrow money from her. She's like, I'm a single mom. I'm a widow raising these kids. You got a husband. You're trying to,
yeah,
or they'd be jealous of her. Why me? Look at my situation. What are you jealous of? Resilience. And that was the first time I understood it. Just resilience. Resilience.
yeah, yeah. And thank God for that 10-year incarceration because it totally strengthened my resilience, my mental fortitude, and my spirituality, my belief that I cannot be conquered ever in life. So that probably makes people feel a type of way too. But I say it because I know it's true.
But look, when we look at a family and you see there's so much estrangement in one family, is that an estrangement demon curse? What's going on? Because there's so much estrangement. When I think about our family, there's too much estrangement.
Yeah, and that's crazy because our family is big. But like,
Well, okay, yeah. And so I'm like, what is this spirit of estrangement? Like, what is going on? Because
that,
I don't even know nothing deep that happened. I'm like, is something missing that I don't understand?
like, look,
What did
I'll
I
give you,
miss?
and
People got a problem with forgiving. Why can't you forgive? What is the problem? It's not even that deep.
and you know what's crazy? When you said that earlier, when you was like, a lot of situations don't even be that deep. That was the first situation that came to my mind. I'm not gonna lie, because I've always thought when I heard the story, like, damn, that's not even that serious stuff. Like, for real?
So it's something deeper. And y'all want to use this as a
It gotta be.
it's yeah, it's something deeper. When you get mad at me about nothing, there's something else going on. You looking for something to roll out.
Yeah.
And you found something because it had to be something else brewing. So people have too many unresolved issues that it goes back to that pride.
In that situation, from what I heard, she was in the right. Simple.
And I'm surprised because one of them supposed to be sold out to the Lord, big time
Yeah.
Christian, big time
Both of them, look,
work, big
both of them were
time church
supposed to
goer.
be.
And I'm like, what are y'all learning in y'all when y'all in church? What the pastor preaching to y'all? No explanation. That's another thing. No explanation.
Yeah,
Even really,
and that be the crazy part to me because I'm a firm believer in speaking your mind. Like when something is wrong, speak it. Speak it. Well, I'm an adult. We can communicate. Let's get to the bottom of this. But when you move like that, just cut me off. Like how they just cut you off. You don't even know why, but we family. That don't make sense.
and you say you're a Christian and you in church all the time and you love the Lord, but they'll say, "Oh, the Lord told me to. The Holy Spirit told me to cut." And really, but God is a God of reconciliation and forgiveness. And the Bible says if you got an ought with someone, you need to go to them first. And then if you can't work it out with them, go get the elder. Go get someone else that's a neutral person. Okay.
Right.
And after you do that, it don't work. Okay. Well, I did what I could do, whatever. None of that. They're not really following the word.
No, no, no. A lot of people, and that's why I long since, and no disrespect to anybody who does it, but I stopped going to church because I can interpret the word for myself. I'm intellectual enough, I'm blessed enough, and I'm aware enough about the Bible, about the path Christ took, about God, right? Where I don't need anybody to explain it to me. I don't need anybody to interpret it for me or break it down for me. So now I don't have to go and sit amongst a bunch of hypocrites that on Sundays speak in tongues and catch the spirit and fall on the floor and all that. And on Monday they hating people, or Monday they telling their friend, oh, don't talk to that girl right there, and all that type of stuff. You're a hypocrite, and I don't even want that type of energy around me, because I could go into a room in our apartment and have church all by myself, and it'd be a great service.
Well, we supposed to be the church.
Right.
So I do believe, well, first of all, I don't believe every church is just full of hypocrites, because hypocrites are everywhere on the job, and we don't stop going to work. We don't stop going out to the restaurants. I mean, hypocrites are everywhere. Church is supposed to be a place where you go worship the Lord, fellowship with other people, encourage other people. You get encouraged. So it's a great exchange supposed to happen there. I think if you go there thinking like, I'm going to this place that's perfect.
Yeah. You're right.
Wrong expectations about what church is, then you're going to be disappointed. And then you're like, I'm not going there no more because I expected to go there and everybody's going to be perfect. No. So if you don't stop going to work, why stop going to church? You're going to get something from the word. You're going to get your money from your job. You get what you need wherever you go. And it's not always about you. It's about what can you give. Maybe you need to be at that church so you can impart something to somebody else. It's not all about us either. What can I impart to somebody there? It might be a homeless person that walked off the street that needed Ricky to show up at the church to just give him a encouraging word, talk about resilience, and you can make it. So it's like a hospital.
See, now that's deep that you said that. That's the flip side of the coin. And I respect that flip side of the coin so much, because when I was locked up, you had a couple of dudes along my journey who, you could tell they weren't street dudes and they weren't too tough or whatever the case may be, but they were good guys, right? And they would ask me questions like, damn, how did you end up here? And I was like, God sent me here to meet you, to give you strength. I'm here for you.
That's to say, that's church.
You understand what I'm saying? And they used to look at me like, what? And I used to be like, I'm dead serious. See? I'm here for you. I'm not here for nothing I did.
That's churches.
You understand what I'm saying? So I get that part.
Yeah.
I get that part. Yeah, and that wasn't just me talking. That was real.
I started a ministry in the church, a fitness ministry to help, because a part of your mental health is physical exercise. And some of these people at church not eating right, and the food affects your mental. So you could be that person like, hey, to the pastor, I want to start a fitness ministry here where we exercise, eat right, encourage one another. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that'll be a beautiful thing.
But it is disappointing. I understand, because I had to go through that where you thought, oh, everybody's going to be in church and I was going to be safe there. And then you realize, no, I'm not really safe here. And it's not that I'm not safe here. I'm not safe with you. That person who may have done whatever in church. I'm not safe with you. Doesn't mean I'm not safe with the church and other people. Somebody good up in there. And let me find a good person in here and gravitate to that person, and we gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to just say because these cliques did wrong and they're, a hypocrite, like, I ain't going to church no more, because I can go to that church and I'm sure there's somebody in there that's real and genuine, and I'll just gravitate and ignore. Some women, they got issues with women. I got issues with women. I like men better. So don't really have that much grace and mercy for women, but they got all the grace and mercy for the men, especially if women have done you wrong. Maybe mess with your man, or your husband. And so you just got
Right.
this issue with women.
That could be.
And just have low tolerance for women and anything that would go down with a woman.
Yeah, I know it's people like that out there.
Maybe they
Hell,
look
heck
at other
yeah.
women as a threat.
That could be too, right? Or they don't want certain
What
energies around that could hinder what they have going on, or you understand what I'm saying?
like, especially if the woman's attractive, or this be all kind of
Yeah,
dynamics. This stuff be deep.
yeah, do.
And,
And then
go
you
ahead.
see all that insecurity
Whoop,
leads to the
whoop,
jealousies and
whoop.
not thinking logically.
Yep.
It's like that. You understand? With situations like that, like you said, I just think like it has to be something deeper going on, because especially when it confused me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen this, like, politics, religion, sports. Those are three very tricky subjects when it comes to conversation, when it comes to opinions, right? And beliefs, conflict in beliefs.
Yeah. I remember I had a really good friend. She was like a play sister to me. And I hooked her up with a family member, and they were together for about 10 years. And I remember she started distancing herself from me. And I'm like, well, what happened? And then he told me, the family friend where I hooked them up together told me that she told him he could no longer come and help me. Look, I'm young. This was young stuff. This was, I don't know, 20, 18, 19, something like that. But
Right.
don't go help her fix her car. If her car broke down, I don't want you going over to help her fix her car. And I'm thinking, like, wait a minute, this is a family friend. We're like family. You're my little sister. I hooked y'all up. Now you can't come help me with my car. He ended up telling me that, which I don't know why she did that, but she asked him, who looks prettier between me and Lana? And he said, Lana.
And that's it right there. That's it right there.
What the heck? Why? First of all, why are you asking your man that?
I was about to say that too. Why would you even ask that question? And it goes deeper than that for me. It's not even that. Why would you ask your man that? Like, I'm not asking nobody that. I have enough mirrors to know I am one of the most handsomest men walking this earth. So I don't need to ask anybody anything. You know what I mean? So like, people that do that need to really like self-evaluate.
If I wanted him, I wouldn't have hooked him up with you.
Right. That too.
He would have been my. So then once he said that, in her mind, he must want me. So don't go over there and help her with nothing. I don't want you talking to her no more. What?
And not to mention, you mentioned the age. So at that age, it's like that.
Oh, it's like that at the older ages too. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
It don't matter.
That's why I got my baby right here. I'm not with those games.
Ah!
I don't got time for it. I just don't. The way my attitude is set up, debit and credit, I don't let nobody deposit into my
You
account.
experienced that? What'd she say? She experienced.
Say she can hear you talk.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What?
Everything.
Yeah.
Marianne, are you estranged from anybody?
Are there people in your family that you and them don't talk or get along? Or
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is distance. Like they live on the West Coast. I don't go see them.
so her situation is more distance. They live on the West Coast. They live on the East Coast, so they don't.
Okay, so it's nothing, no problems.
No beef.
No beef.
No beef. No beef. No beef. Not like us.
But I do feel like when we have a family with some of these issues, I think communication skills, social emotional skills are just low. Emotional intelligence is low.
Right. Right. And then that's what makes the pride come into play and things like that. Like, I think with family, You should easily be able to put your pride to the side, especially like if you're not dealing with a family member who like rubs things in your face or which is immature, you know what I mean, who acts immature. If you're dealing with another adult like yourself, I don't think pride should come into play. I should be able to say, Lana, I apologize. I messed up. My bad, girl. You know what I mean? Forgive me, please. Even if you don't hug me, I'm going to hug you. I don't care. We family. What you going to do? Beat me up? You understand what I'm saying?
We're better together. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes the enemy comes in to destroy relationships because he know what the potential is if people get together. How much more they can do, how much farther they can go if they get together and get on the same page.
Yeah. When I opened up our gym in Jersey, my mother gave a speech, and that's how she ended the speech. She was like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. That's how she ended the speech right there. It resonated. That was like 4 years ago, and it still resonates with me to this day. So that's where I'm so loving and dependent on my team, my village. You
Right.
know, like once you build that village and you get everybody to understand what you just said, that you go way, way further together, right? That's when you really propel yourself to different heights as a village or as a team or a couple or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? That's very, very important. And a lot of people don't understand that until too late in life, because a lot of things right now are instant gratification, or a lot of people, because of social media, like to hear me, or how good they look, or they don't see nobody double tap on their posts. They get mad, like, you know, and to me, that's what's making society now the way it is. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to be uh 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 giving compliments. They need it now. They actually need it now. You know, so like let a person go through all day and make 3 or 4 posts, nobody like it.
Rejection.
They're gonna need to see a therapist.
Yeah.
They're gonna need a therapist.
Rejection.
Because I see certain people post stuff like, oh, you don't gotta like my stuff. And to me, that's insecurity. Like when I post something, I like it first. And I never go back to see who else likes it. Because I don't care. Once I post it, I double tap. That thumb like this turns blue, and I'm out of there.
Yeah, but so that goes back to the motive. Why are you on there? Are you on there for validation, for a sense of self-worth? So when you don't get it, you're hurt. So don't look for social media or look for other people for that validation. Just have it within, get it from God. But everybody's just so depleted, love deficit, depleted holes in the soul, and just looking for whatever to fill that void, that hole that's in the soul. Social media, likes, whatever. And nothing is going to be able to fill it. You need to get healed and whole. And then you'll attract the right people. You'll attract the right people.
And I agree. I think that
And have less toxic relationships that have to be cut.
yeah, that have to be cut. And going back to one thing you said when we first started recording was about communication. So I think that the era of social media has kind of messed that up, because the generation Gen Z, I think they're called, and on after them, they don't really know how to communicate. So you'll see one of my players, and I'm like, okay, he about to bag a little shorty. And he'd go to her and be like, what's your IG? And I'm looking like, that was your pickup line? Like, that was the line?
IG, yeah.
What's your IG? And they hand the phone. That's how it goes. Like, they don't know how to be like, you look so pretty. I just wanted to know if I could have your number. I saw you walking through school. I be looking at you all the time. You don't see me looking. Like, you understand what I'm saying? You understand it? They don't even know how to do that. Can I get your IG? That's it. That's kicking it now. You know, like they don't know how to apologize.
And what's about trying to form a whole relationship over text?
That too, because that's where they communicate at. So I done seen situations, even with my daughters, where they'll all be in the same room on the same bed and they're texting each other. Nobody's saying anything. It's like a library in there. But they got a whole conversation going, a group chat. That's how they do it now. They could be sitting right next to each other. They gonna text. You know, like it's done a lot. Like you'll be in the same house with a person. If you're upstairs, I done seen my brother Christopher text my mother because she's downstairs to tell her, can she bring him some juice? When you could have just walked down the steps and got the juice, or you could got out the bed, opened the door, and yelled down the steps like back in the days.
Yeah. That's not convenient.
Right, right. And that's what it is for everybody now, convenience. And once again,
I think people hide behind texting because you can control. You can't get caught off guard with questions or, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I see where you're going with that. I see where you're going with that.
Oh, I gotta think and process this, or I can laugh out loud, but I'm not laughing out loud.
Right,
You
right.
can fake emotions on there, and you can fake.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And not only that, through text, a person can't tell if I can't articulate myself as well as they can, or they can't tell that I have a very deep vernacular or whatever the case may be, right? So if I don't, I could hide behind that one word answer, you know, 2-word sentences, stuff like that, without really having to communicate.
GIFs.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
You can just hide. So it's a way to hide because people don't want to be vulnerable. That's the whole thing. It's just fear. It's all fear-based. Fear of being rejected, fear of not being loved, fear of not being accepted, fear. Everything's fear.
See, and I'm not gonna lie, I have no problem being vulnerable with family or people I consider family. No problem. Outsiders, I'm not being vulnerable at all.
I don't think that's wise. The Bible talks about don't cast your pearls on pigs and stuff like that.
Right.
You got to be careful. You can't give everybody your heart.
Right.
They don't know what to do with it. They'll damage it.
Right. Or misuse it.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. So everybody's just, we need help.
We do, but back to like it's about family, right? So I don't know why certain people in the family don't feel comfortable putting their pride to the side or their ego with the other family member. Even if you know it's a situation where this family member is always talking, I'm gonna have a hard time trying to communicate with them because they're gonna be like raunchy and rude and whatever the case may be. But it's still family, so that if you know all that, that means you're used to it. You know, so like I think you should still, if the other party is willing to try, yeah, why not? Like, why not?
I think that some family members are just dangerous. And
Heck yeah.
no, you gotta protect yourself. You can try, and they're scary. You can tell if they're really ready to do the work. They need to do the work in order for relationships to mend. And a lot of people, they're not ready to do the work, and you know that. And so you just gotta, I don't know about totally cut ties, but you can back up and put some healthy boundaries in place to protect yourself. I can still care about you, how you doing, you good, without getting all entangled with you to the level where you could give me that type of damage. And that's pretty much how I've done a lot of people. I had to back up because you have the potential to damage me, and I don't want you to do that. I don't want that damage because you're not healthy.
Right.
But then I also have to look at myself. Am I too sensitive? So you have to look at that too. Everything damages you. Everything offends you. Everything. Oh,
Right.
That out to see. Okay,
Yeah.
why are you offended by everything? Why are you sensitive about everything?
You don't want to turn into that person.
Yeah.
Unknowingly.
Right. So I've had to back to that self-reflection. Is it me or is it them?
Yeah. And I have no problem when it's me.
It could should know it's both of you all.
Yeah, I don't have any problem apologizing. Like, I'll apologize in a minute. Even if I know you're not going to reciprocate, I don't care. I did my part. That's the way I look at it. I did my part. And then when you're laying there because you didn't do your part, replaying it in your head, you're gonna have some regret. You're gonna feel bad. I guarantee you. You know, like I don't think anybody should have a problem like doing that. To me, that's the problem. If you have a problem doing that. And to me, that's not just family with anybody. I'm gonna go on my way to let you know that I apologize. You know, and that goes back again to what I said. I've been through so much that my respect level is so high. I've been through situations that the average person haven't. You know what I mean? And in a lot of places that I've been, respect is very important. How you carry yourself is very important. You know, being a man, not a male, is very important. Carry themselves with respect. Men are able to apologize when they're wrong. Men can show empathy and sympathy to other people and to other people's situations.
Right. Yeah. Just like you said, that empathy. Why are they the way they are? What caused them to be this way? Because there's a root to some of this madness. So when you understand the why of why people are the way they are, then you have more empathy. So if you have more empathy, then you have more grace and mercy for them and more understanding. But a lot of people just need to have those hard conversations. And if you can't get a neutral party to help work out some of these relationships, because I think we could just end with this. You're better together, period. Everybody's better together if everybody's healthy. um, yeah.
Better and stronger together.
Yeah.
By far, by far, by far.
Yeah.
But that's something that everybody probably needs to take a look at out there in America, out there in the world, out there in social media land, right?
Yeah. Analyze yourself, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah. The first question should be like, did I do anything wrong? What did I do? Start there. Everybody needs to start there. And I think everything would navigate differently throughout the ordeal or whatever it is.
And even if you're not wrong, I think it's important to forgive because unforgiveness eats you up. I mean, I saw research about cancer, and they said a big cause of cancer is unforgiveness. There's a couple universities that's done a study to show how unforgiveness really damages the body.
I believe in that because if you're spending your time not liking somebody, that means you're always thinking about the fact that you don't like them. So imagine what type of energy that is traveling throughout your body every day, eating away at you. And now it's going to turn from something that could have just been spiritual, so to speak, if I might use that word. Now it's physical. Now it done transformed itself into physical because you harbored so much negative energy in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've seen where people cut these ties and then somebody dies. Now
Regret.
you living with all that. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. So even if you might not reconcile with people, at least forgive. At least get on a good cordial page. Just get on we're cordial enough to just say hi, how are you doing? We're good. You're not having that animosity and that negative energy in your heart, but just learn how to forgive and pray for people. That was really good. Definitely pray, because the more you're praying for someone, how can you hate them and you're praying for them, you know?
Right.
Or
Right. You took the words right out of my mind just now because that's what I was about to say. You know, like that's it right there. That's the key right there. Because if you're spending all your time hating, you have no time to think about great ideas. You have no time to think about loving 1,000,000 people instead of 1,000 people. You have no time to think about loving yourself because it's too much time spent on, I don't like this person. I don't like this person. That's like a terrible way to live.
yeah, yeah. So this holiday season, everyone out there, hopefully something we said here will help you to possibly mend a relationship. If not mend a relationship, at least forgive for yourself, not for them. And also that you don't make other people miserable. Because you ever been in an environment where people aren't getting along and they just make it horrible for everybody else?
Yeah.
Can you tell her I said, I'm not going over there in that room because so-and-so, it just make everybody uncomfortable. Like, let's just come together in peace and unity, agree to disagree.
Let's be adults. Let's be adults about this.
All right, let's get our hearts right. Let's get our hearts right. All right. This was a good conversation. Yeah.
It was. And I know a lot of people are gonna get stuff from this. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of people falling victim to the stigma that we spoke of. Society feels the relationship gotta be like this. Society feels I shouldn't be arguing with my child or my sibling, you know, and that's just not reality because
fairy tale they put out there, it looks like this.
Right.
No, relationships are hard. Yeah. And they don't have to be hard all the time. They have their hard moments and periods, and you need to just have that emotional intelligence to kind of work through all of that. Even marriages, like you see all these people, they're like, oh, I wish my marriage was like that. You do not know what's going on in that marriage. And now you really work for yourself because you said you want your marriage like that. And what did you speak on yourself? Because you don't really know. So yeah, just come out of the fairy tale world, come back to reality, and get your eyes off of other people and just focus on you and your relationships and making the best out of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This holiday season.
For this holiday season.
Yes.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This was a great conversation.
Thanks, cuz. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on Birthing Purpose with Lana.
Yeah, Ricky Cut Creator. Go check them out. NYC, New Jersey.
That's right. We everywhere up here. Thank you so much for having me, though. And what's that dog? What's that dog name?
Bella. Say hi, Bella. Bella, say hi.
What up, Bella? We got to get Bella some muscles. We're gonna put Bella on the treadmill. I got 1 pound dumbbells for Bella. She good. Don't worry about nothing.
You're gonna start dog training, huh?
That's right.
You expanding. Yeah. All right.